thanks for being here. Thank you for the picture. We're very happy to thank you because of please. Grazie. Grazie. Thank you. So, thank you very much for being with us, and of course I'd like to thank you once more, Harvey Keitel, to be with us. I'd like to introduce also Dennis Lee, Director of Programming at the Lincoln Center, for moderating this conversation. I'll let you go.
Anybody like a Sprite?
Thank you, Carlo, and thank you, Harvey, for being here. It's a great pleasure and honor to be moderating this conversation with you. Obviously, it's a very full house. We will make sure to leave time for your questions, but I'll start with a few. It's actually a little bit hard to know where to begin with a career like yours.
I know where to begin.
Okay, why don't you start then?
This is the only time this is going to happen, so really, ask me anything you want to ask me.
Okay. We'll make the most of
I'm
it.
not saying I'll answer, but
Looking back at the past, a career that spans nearly 5 decades at this point, I think one thing that is very striking is just the number of times that you've been involved with either first films or films by filmmakers at very pivotal stages of their careers. Your first film was Who's That Knocking at My Door by Martin Scorsese, which was also his first film. In the 70s, you worked with Ridley Scott, Paul Schrader, and James Toback on their directing debuts. You helped Quentin Tarantino get his first film, Reservoir Dogs, made. And you've also, I think, been very much associated with pivotal landmark films by Jane Campion, by Abel Ferrara, who presented you with the award last night. I'm wondering what it is that draws you, why you gravitate to these people who are relatively unknown quantities in terms of these first.
I was born unknown. I've always traveled to that dark side to find out who the hell I am. So these people were stops I made along the way. And and you mentioned Marty Scorsese, and I said to Marty not too long ago, the first film we ever did together, Marty was a student at NYU, New York University in New York. I had been studying acting. I'd been out of the Marines a short time, not that long. First film we made was Marty's student film, the first 35mm film made at college at that time in the States. And the title is Who's That Knocking at My Door? And I said to Marty, you've been remaking this movie your entire career. Who's That Knocking at My Door? And I realized, so have I been making the same movie. We're all trying to find out who is that knocking at our door. So we all have that in common.
Can you talk a little bit about how you got to know Marty? You said you auditioned for it. You were responding to an ad in a paper. You were taking acting lessons at the time.
Yeah. Well, there's a little.
Tell us a funny story about the audition, which I've heard.
Do we have time for all this? I don't know.
Yeah, well,
people want to get lunch or the sons. Well, I met Martin Scorsese while he was a student at NYU, and I was just doing odd jobs around New York. Like I said, I hadn't been out of the Marines that long. Anyway, there were 3 auditions, and to make a long story short, it was the first 35mm film was going to be made by a student, and so I lasted through 3 auditions, and the third one Marty held at NYU. It was during the nighttime. All the lights were out. All the lights were out in the school, except there was a light here, a light there. The hallways were dark. So I walked in, it was down to me and 2 other actors. Walked in at the appropriate time, and there were a few people that worked with Marty that were there. Nobody else, no Marty. And they said, sit down. I sat down. And they said, get up. You see that hallway and that light coming out of that room? I said, yeah. They said, go down and walk into that room with the light on. I said, okay. I get up, I walk down the hallway. Now this is, how many years ago? We can't even count that far back. In the 60s. In the 60s. You can imagine. And I walk in the room and there's a light on, like you're in a police station. The desk, the light around. There's a guy sitting behind the desk. I walk in, and I look at the guy. And he said, sit down. I said, who are you? He said, just sit the fuck down. I said, excuse me? He said, what? I said, I don't know who you are. He said, sit the fuck down. I said, go fuck yourself. He gets up and she comes toward me. I get up. I'm up already. I go toward him. Then I hear a voice from the back of this dark room saying, Harvey, Harvey. No, no. I turn around. Scorsese coming down the aisle. He got in the back door and he said, Harvey, it's an improvisation. It's an improvisation. I said, Marty. Next time you do an improvisation, it's a good idea to tell your actor. And I got